Hello everyone, hope you're doing well. Today in War Thunder it's time to have a look at the EC-665 TIGER UHT, which is the Eurocopter coming to the German tech tree at rank 7, battle rating 10.0. Now you may be wondering, why is it rank 7? Well, it is definitely a head above the rest, and also to compensate for the fact that it's rank 7, we're also getting a premium rank 6 for the Germans, which is the Mi-24P HFS-80 at rank 6, battle rating 9.7. It has access, of course, to the 30mm, the GSH-32K. Then, of course, it has access to rockets, bombs, Sturms, and also R60s, which should be a little bit of fun as well. So if you want to have fun with this, you know, you got the Sturm missiles, you got the air-to-air missiles, the 60Ms, and also the rockets, just to have that on top of the cannons as well. So if you feel like just annihilating anything, you can bring out the Mi-24P, or, you know, grinding past the really annoying vehicles of the German tech tree, such as the BOs and, of course, the Huey and the Alouette. These are definitely nowhere near the standard of the Eurocopter, which is why this sits firmly in rank 7 by itself. So this vehicle being 10.0, it is the crown of the German tree, and it deserves to be. It's got everything that you would need. The only thing it's missing is something you'll find on its French counterpart, which is a nose-mounted cannon. The Germans got rid of the nose-mounted cannon for, I believe it was, they just didn't feel like it was useful. Obviously, it would be generally used for anti-infantry movements, and it would be much better to do that in different ways. I might be wrong about that, so I apologize. It just seems like the most logical way. If we look at its general speed, max speed of 290, one of the fastest vehicles in the game, but not the fastest. That goes to the G-Lynx at the moment. It's powered by two MTU Turbomeca Rolls-Royce MTR 392Cs with 1285 horsepower each with 250 kgf. Massive fuel tanks right here, self-sealing, and of course the transmission here, along with two oil cooling systems. The people, the crew, I suppose, of this vehicle, the pilot and the gunner, sorry, I had a bit of a brain fart there, are sat in tandem instead of in a horizontal axis. So this is slightly different to other machines that you will have seen at a similar BR. The other thing is the armor on this machine is quite nice. It has 20mm of composite, which is all sat around the areas of the pilot and the gunner. The only problem with this is that the glass, which is sat here, still can go through it. And also underneath as well, you've got only 20mm to punch through. Now, this is generally good enough against stuff like 23s, but nowadays with Mistrals flying around, with Stingers flying around, with even stuff like the automatic flying around, you know, it's still one of the most armored helicopters, but it's still a helicopter, you know, it still doesn't have a lot of armor. 8mm are also around or between the engines as well, which is kind of an interesting place to have it. And on top of this, the main reason why you play something like this is because of its armament. So the armament that the Tiger has access to is, first of all, it has access to some 12.7mm if you want to add them in. So it isn't just a machine which is devoid of guns, even though it doesn't have the nose-mounted gun. You can take them in gun pods if you feel like it, and you do have access to some offensive armaments. You have these ones, then the Universal, the ground targets, the tracers, and then the stealth. For me personally, the Universal is the way to go, just because it does the most amount of hybrid damage. Obviously, it really depends on what you're taking it out for, but obviously, for me, I want it to be good at everything. The other sets of machines that you can have, or the secondary armaments that you can have, since the only offensive armament you have is flares, which is kind of funny, is you have some Mighty Mouse, so those are what you start with. Then you have access to the gun and some Mighty Mouse. Then, once again, guns and Mighty Mouse again. Can you imagine taking this loadout? Like, you have 6 Mighty Mouse and 2 12.7s. You're just not going to do that. That's never going to be used. Then, of course, you have the machine gun and 22 Mighty Mouse. And then we get to the big boys. So the Hot 3. The Hot 3 is a pretty nice the Hot 3 is a nice little ATGM, 900mm of pen at 0, 779 and 450, but it only travels at 240 meters per second. So it's kind of slow, at least compared to some of the other stuff we have. Then, of course, you have all of the other variants that you can bring with it. of course, but the main one is the Stingers, I think, is what people's going to go for. So the Stingers, they have a weapon lock in rear aspect of 7 kilometers, maximum speed of 1,000 meters per second, and a weapon lock range in all aspects of 4.5 kilometers. So these are incredibly deadly, mainly down to the maximum overload, 18 Gs, some of the highest turning missiles in the game. I think even the SRAMs for the Hunter F6, I don't think they even have 18 Gs worth of turn in them. Let's have a look, because obviously I want to check. No, they have 20, but they only go, they only can lock at 4 kilometers, and they also have a lot less range than these Stingers. So they do turn a little bit better, but to compensate for that, the Stingers definitely last a lot longer. Then on top of that, you have weapons such as the PARS-3LR, which are fire and forget missiles, which are used for attacking ground units. Now, in game right now, they do not have the ability to fire and forget. In real life, you can actually select up to 4 targets at once and then just fire the missiles, and they'll all just end up in their destinations. I hope you can understand why in War Thunder this might be a little bit of a broken concept. So therefore, they've decided to leave that out, and instead they just have the kind of laser designation idea, which the Hellfires have instead. So for me, when I have a look at the loadouts, the way to go would be to bring the Stingers, would be to bring some LI missiles, and would be to bring some other stuff if you want to. So here you can see that you can bring the 12.7mm as a secondary armament. Then you can bring 4 Stingers and 4 PARS-3LR missiles. If you are in a better environment, I would definitely want something where I can bring just the PARS and some, like 8 PARS and just the Stingers, but that doesn't seem to be available. Unfortunately, what you've got to do is take a variation of it with an MG, and I'm sure this is done for balancing reasons. Otherwise, if you had 8 PARS and also the Stingers, you would be nigh unstoppable in stuff like ground forces and incredibly good in something like air forces. So that is something to think about. But if you just want to go full groundhog, you can bring just 8 PARS and just annihilate whatever is around the place. If you want to know the statistics of the PARS, here you go. So they have 1,000 millimeters, 866 millimeters, 500 millimeters of penetration, so very good. 290 meters per second through the air, so fast as well. And they have a firing range of 7 kilometers, so you can outrange a lot of SPAA. You won't be able to outrange some of the missile AA, but you'll be able to outrange a lot of the gun AA, if not all of it. And the TNT equivalent is 3.7 kilos on these big Berthas, so therefore they're going to do a lot of damage if they hit properly. So if you're in a ground battle, maybe worth just taking them if you have air superiority. If not, well, you can take a combination, which is what you see here with the Stingers, with the gun, and with the PARS. So you have a lot of options up for you. You also have a different skin. So you have just the standard one, or you can go for a black camo. And as you can see, the black camo I actually like better. I think it's a much nicer camo. It definitely suits the aircraft a lot better, as it is a mean machine. I wish that this also turned black, but you can't have everything in the world. Also, something you may have noticed, it does have night vision devices on it. Therefore, we're going to test that for you and show what is available. Is it just night vision, or are there thermals involved? It would be incredibly surprising if there weren't thermals involved for this machine. As you can see, here are the night vision looks. So let's just take off. And then you have the night vision for the... Oh, let's just stop that. You have the night vision for the sights. So maybe you only do have night vision and no thermals. At least right now, that's what I'm seeing. That might be a bit of a problem, but you do have the RWR indicator, which is good to see, meaning that you can easily, bring stuff like that in. And look at the heads-up display that you have for this vehicle. So it is a vehicle which does have a hood that you can see here, and also it has, the glass helicopter or glass. What is the word I'm looking for? The glass cockpits are designed for it. And there goes the Stinger. You can see how fast it turns, how fast it rotates, and good night, sweet prints when it comes to that. And then, of course, we can just guide in the AT gems as we go. And if we really want to, and we don't even have to get close to that truck to annihilate it. So these PARS ATGMs are incredibly powerful. If we compare them to other machines or other missiles that we have, said in the dev blog that they are going to control very similarly to machines such as, or very to munitions like the HOT missiles. So that is something to kind of understand, you know, that's how they're going to act in the game. At least for me, they just seem to be a little bit faster HOT missiles which pack a bigger punch, which is good. It means that the Eurocopter will come out swinging, and the only real difference, or the only real issue, the only real issue between this and something like a, you know, the Mi-35M, which does get its iglas, remember, it does have iglas now, is, I turned it off by accident. The only difference between it and something, there we go. The only difference between it and something like an H-1Z or an Mi-35M is the problem that you have, which is you don't have access to 16 ATGMs. Instead, the most you can get access to is 8 at a time. And what this generally means is you have a situation where no matter, you know, what you do, you are going to have you're going to have less killing power than an H-1Z in at least the ground forces portion of the game. Now, if also the optics are on top of the helicopter, which is kind of cool. You can see that kind of shown here, where you can see the blades below the optics. So I do appreciate that look. You can see if we look really down, you can see it all. So I do appreciate that they've decided to put the camera there. Also, this is the inside. You can see the heads-up display that we have, and also all of the things here. So this is controlled, you know, everything changes as we move, and also the gun firing. So that's lovely. Like, touches like that make games like War Thunder absolutely wonderful. It is a cockpit placeholder though, so do take that in mind. I do think it is heavily done really well though. All the gauges seem to work. This is just a wonderful little feature. I'm so glad to see this, and I hope we see this expanded more in other parts of the game. So overall, the Eurocopter looks very serviceable for a top tier vehicle. The only thing it's really missing is the ability to carry those 16 ATGMs, which makes something like an H-1Z very, very, very powerful. And also, the other thing is the optics. You can see there's a lot of flashing going on, especially through the rotor blades. So I am a little bit worried about people's eyes, because it's already starting to strain mine after such a short period of time. So I don't want people just staring down into like this area here, or, you know, this area here, or this area here, because I feel like it's going to hurt their eyes. So that there might have to be something done with that, even though it's a really nice feature. The fact that, you know, the optics are above the helicopter in their position there, it's something to think about, you know, when it comes to it. Anyway, I hope you all have a wonderful day, and I'll see you next time. I'd just like to thank Ambrosius McClellan, B. Young, Blackie, Daniel Stanton, John Ryman, Joseph Anders, Martinez, Mopar 1969, Moxie, Super Cacti, Uyans Terry, and Elove Goats, and of course Seductive Trash Can for supporting the channel.